Good morning, everyone. We're continuing to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the State of Israel, the moving of the embassy. In addition, in this week in the People's House, we're continuing to work on a number of bills focusing on America's heroes. We're honoring police officers who wear the uniform and defend us every day. We're also continuing our efforts to rebuild the VA so that it can improve care, build trust, and roll out the red carpet for our veterans. In addition to all of this, we're excited about the numbers. We see our economy booming and the focus on improving people's lives. We have the lowest unemployment since 2000. Wages are at the highest level in nearly 20 years for small business workers. Consumer confidence is close to an 18-year high. And just a survey that was released this week from the National Association of Manufacturers has more good news within manufacturing. 80% of manufacturers in America are planning investments right now. Our agenda, from tax reform to unleashing energy potential to regulatory relief, is working. And now it's our goal to build upon this momentum by empowering people to achieve their version of the American dream. It's why we, this week, are advancing the Farm Bill, which ensures a safe and secure food supply, as well as nutritional support to those in need. On behalf of the farmers that I represent in Eastern Washington, I'd like to thank the chairman, Michael Conway. He's with us today, for his leadership and his work on this important legislation. We're grateful for how he has brought us to this point. You are hearing a lot of scare tactics, false information, but we're here to set the record straight in three important areas. First, we maintain nutritional assistance. There are no cuts. Second, this legislation will help the work-capable adults gain the skills so that they can move off the sidelines into one of the 6 million jobs that are currently open in America. And three, the work and education requirements only apply to work-capable adults, not seniors, not individuals with disabilities, not parents who have children under the age of 6, and not pregnant women. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the chairman. Thank you.
Well, Kathy, thank you very much for teeing that up. This work on reforming SNAP started 3 years ago with the committee. We've done a terrific job of trying to analyze what works, what doesn't work with SNAP. The idea is to bring the best policy forward we could. We didn't talk about the dollars or spending at any point until right at the end. And as we scored our bill, it does fit within the parameters that I was charged with, and it works to move this country forward. It couldn't be coming at a better time. The economy is growing. In addition to the 6 million jobs that are open now, there are new jobs being created every day across this country. There is a gap between those work-capable individuals out there, 18 to 59, the skills they have or don't have, and the skills necessary for these jobs. We're going to empower the states to bridge that gap, because I think that's where the best work gets done in this arena. So I'm excited about having this conversation with anybody about what we're trying to do on a legitimate, on an honest basis. As Kathy said, a lot of misinformation in the arena. I've been working to try to quiet that down. Last night in the Rules Committee, had an interesting exchange with a colleague from California who said a lady had contacted her office, was trying to figure out how she could help the food bank. She had been on SNAP. She and her husband had gotten jobs. They were now making enough money to be above the level of needing SNAP. They were now in a position to try to help other people. And so they were trying to figure out how they could help the food bank that had helped them during those time frames. And I looked at her and said, man, that's the exact scenario we want. That's the win we want. That's the impact that we're trying to create with these SNAP changes. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, because that's exactly where we want to go. And now our job is to try to continue to get that message out moving forward. So, Kathy, thank you for letting me be here this morning, and I appreciate my colleagues' support on getting this done.
I want to thank Chairman Conway and his committee for the work that they've done to produce a farm bill that addresses the needs of our farmers, what we need to do to make sure that the United States can maintain the world leader in supplying good, healthy food to not only America but also the world. But something else that this bill does that's critically important is it restores real work requirements to welfare programs that have not really served the people that are on them right now. If you look at where we are today with unemployment going down, we're at our lowest levels in almost 20 years because of the tax cut bill that we did, because of the work we've been doing with this president to rein in the regulatory state that was out of control. We now see companies looking to hire workers, and that's a great thing. But at the same time, we also see a record number of people, a ballooning number of people on SNAP. Back in 2000, when we had those lower levels of unemployment, we had 17 million people on the SNAP program. Today, it's over 41 million people on that same program. And so what we want to do is restore that value of the dignity of hard work and to get back to prosperity instead of poverty. The reforms in this bill are critically important. So I commend Chairman Conway and his committee for the work that they've done. We're now working to get this bill through the rules process, through the committee, but through the amendment process, but ultimately to get a farm bill that addresses the needs of this country and reforms this broken welfare program to restore work requirements back in place. Finally, I want to mention that this is National Law Enforcement Week, and I surely know the value of what our law enforcement officers mean to us, to provide safety to us, to our country. Especially proud of the great work that the United States Capitol Police does, and I was really touched by a special tribute earlier this week where David Bailey and Crystal Griner received the Top Cops Award, really prestigious national award. They saved the lives of so many of us, and they risk their lives every day. All of our law enforcement do all around the country, and I think it's great that we're taking a week to celebrate them and to put some bills on the floor that are really important to further protecting our men and women in uniform who protect us every day.
I want to touch a point that Steve just ended on with National Police Week. If you watch Steve stand up here, he's alive today because of those police officers. A number of members in Congress and Senate are alive today because they engaged in a situation that was very difficult. That doesn't happen just here, but it happens around this nation, and we cannot thank them enough. And as you see them walking throughout the city, I see them wearing their badge. I think we all should feel great gratitude and thank them for their service of what they provide to all of us. I do want to touch on a few items. As we've gone through this new majority with the new administration, it's important to always put the metrics out and measure where we are. At 3.9% unemployment, the lowest it's been in 18 years. For every person that's going to go away to college, they're going to enter probably one of the strongest workforces to get a job any time in their history. Unemployment claims at a 44-year low. That's more than 4 decades. More than millions of bonuses are sitting out there. One company, more than 1 million employees get an extended maternity leave. 48 out of 50 states have a lower electrical bill because of the tax cuts. You look at some of the movement we've been able to do already in the VA. GI Bill. No longer is it set for just 15 years, and you lose it, now you have a lifetime. All of those are great successes. When you look at what we've been able to do to stop human trafficking, this is modern-day slavery. 70% of those 100,000 Americans that get trafficked every year happen because of the internet. But you know what? The main culprit, Backpage, is shut down today and being prosecuted, thanks to the bill we were able to pass. We continue to move and work on the other legislation. Opioids. There's not one person in America that doesn't know somebody that has an addiction. Despite, just like in the tax bill, Democrats fighting us, moving these pieces of legislation, we will not stop. The Republicans will move this through Energy and Commerce and onto the floor. But this week is like other weeks too. We continue to build on those successes. The Farm Bill comes up every 5 years. This chairman has been working on it since the last Farm Bill, listening to us, not by a Republican, but bipartisan across this nation, making sure that we have the food, and not just the food, but the security and the safety of what we're able to eat for the rest of the nation and the world. And part of this, yes, deals with SNAP. And what is that going to do? It's going to give those who are able-bodied the opportunity for the education and the job training to re-enter the workforce. Because we believe everybody in America should have the opportunity to succeed. I know Democrats look at it on the opposite. We have found just in the last year and a half, 2 million more jobs. This is a very good economy for people to enter the workforce, and the resources they need to make that happen in the training, this bill will allow it to have happen. We will continue to further grow to reform the VA. Chairman Rowe has a fantastic bill coming to the floor that gives greater choice to make sure that their health care is provided and they have greater opportunities. So as we continue to build on the successes we've already seen this year, we will take each issue step by step, just as we've done before, move it through the committee, do the listening sessions before across with the nation, and at the end, succeed in solving a problem.
Well, it is certainly a good time to be a worker or a job seeker in America today. You just heard some of the statistics. This economy is thriving. Business optimism and consumer confidence are at all-time highs. Tax reform has helped fuel more jobs, bigger paychecks, and better benefits. Retail sales are up too. And I can't say this enough. Our unemployment rate is below 4% for the first time in 20 years. In fact, right now, we have one open job for nearly every unemployed person in this country. We have employers who can't keep up with incoming business because they don't have enough qualified workers. We've built an economy full of opportunities. Now we need to connect people with those opportunities so that they can make the most of their lives. That's what Chairman Conaway is talking about. Closing the skills gap, closing the opportunity gap so everyone can get their version of the American idea. That is one of the reasons why this farm bill is just so critical. In addition to helping our farmers, this bill includes important workforce development reforms, attaching work requirements to help get people out of poverty and onto the ladder of opportunity. It will reinvest savings into education and training programs that help develop those skills, that closes that opportunity gap. It sets up a system where SNAP recipients who are able to go to work can work. And if they can't, they will be guaranteed training that they need. With these reforms, we are focusing on empowering people. We are focusing on empowering people so that more people have the chance to realize their piece of the American idea. So I want to thank Chairman Conaway and the members of the Agriculture Committee. This is a critical pillar of our Better Way agenda that we talked about, that we campaigned on, that we believe in. It's a priority for this unified government. And it's yet another promise that we're committed to fulfilling to help working families get ahead. Finally, I'd like to declare something that is just so obvious. It is Laurel and not Yanny, all right? Come on. How many Laurel fans here, huh? Yeah, right? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. It's the craziest thing. All right, questions. Sherman, you got something other than that?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, you good? Are you in the Laurel? Okay, thank you.
I want, last time when you guys handled trade legislation, it seemed like there was a lot of work. I remember you doing a lot of
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that, yeah.
But I don't see any of that happening at this point, and it seems to be an idea that you'll be able to do something on NAFTA after the election, which, as you know, is a difficult time to get anything done. So I just kind of want to...
Yeah, well, it's hard to move legislation when you haven't seen it yet. So the way TPA works, I wrote it, is you wait for the administration to get an agreement and then transmit that agreement in writing to Congress. And then you go through the entire TPA process. It involves an ITC scrub. It involves a lot of moving parts, which requires certain timelines, and that moves you into December, if the agreement is forthcoming very, very soon, like this week.
Could you give a sense about how difficult that process is?
We haven't done the process in quite some time. It's one of the reasons why I think President Obama dropped the ball and didn't negotiate trade agreements for a long time. We could have gotten other agreements done then. It hadn't been since Bush when we brought trade agreements to the floor. But under the TPA process, there is a timeline that has to be adhered to. There is some discretion by the ITC on how long they take, but that's within the TPA window. Point is, we can't work a bill unless we have an agreement that's in writing that we can work, and that hasn't occurred yet.
I think that needs to happen this week.
Well, yes, according to the TPA law. This isn't my arbitrary deadline. That's just the way the TPA law works. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, two questions on the midterms and the primaries last night. We saw again another current House Republican fail to advance in Idaho. We saw in the past week some other House members. What do you think is going on there? And also this trend of we're seeing more women running. However, in last night's 27 primaries, only one female Republican is advancing. All 26 other Republicans are men. Is that a concern? Why is that?
Yeah, go. We have more incumbents. Yeah, I mean, you've obviously poured through the debt a little bit more than I have this morning. I've been working on legislation.
The incumbents are
I met with Carol Miller yesterday in West Virginia. She won the primary for Evan Jenkins' seat. She's a stellar candidate. She's a leader in the West Virginia state legislature. She's a very impressive woman. I just met with her yesterday. Debbie Lesko, we just put Debbie Lesko on her committees this morning. So we've got some very impressive women who've just arrived and who are going to be arriving. So we're very excited about them. And Lou Barletta won last night. Yeah, so I can give you counter talking points if you would like, but let's move on to legislative stuff. Go ahead.
Is there a reason House members aren't advancing?
There you go.
Lou Barletta just advanced.
Yeah, House members are advancing. Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. You and the leader went to the White House yesterday to talk about immigration. Is there any movement on this issue, and do you have any sense that you are beginning to coalesce around some sort of strategy?
Yeah, like I said last week, obviously we do not agree with discharge petitions. We think they're a big mistake. They disunify our majority. And our members of our majority fall into different camps, and they want a solution on DACA, and they want a solution on the border and on security issues. We want to accommodate all of that. And so we're working with the administration. The key is, as I said before, we don't want to advance something that we know won't become law and just get vetoed, even if it made it to the president's desk. We want to advance something that has a chance of going into law where the president would support it. So that's why we met with the president to advance a strategy that addresses the issues that our members have, the concerns they have, but do it in a way where we actually have a process that can get a presidential signature, not a presidential veto. And we're working with our members on that.
Come up with an alternative?
We're working on it. We'll keep you posted. Soybean.
Do you have any plans to meet with the Chinese delegation, which is in town? And if so, what would your message be?
On trade, you're talking about? I don't think I have any plans to meet with the delegation on trade. I do believe, and this is an area I've spent a lot of my time in, there are a lot of unfair trade practices coming from China that need to be addressed. I'm glad that we are addressing them.